Hello, and thanks for joining us here at the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast. Episode 275, apparently, by our podcast providers. So if I'm wrong, but I'm sure it is 275, or maybe 274, or even maybe 273. We'll never find out, will we? But yeah, it's me, RGT, and joined today again by the absolute Switch maestro, the gorgeous Marathon Gaming, aka Scott. How you doing, Scotty boy?
I'm very good. I think we should stick to 275. It's a nice round number. Even if we're wrong, we'll just do maybe 275
Yeah.
episodes.
But then again, with my maths, we'll probably do 275 next week and
Yeah.
275 the week after, and then eventually get on to 276.
Oh, yeah.
But
We're definitely numerically dyslexic between the two of us. That's for sure.
yeah. But yeah, so welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast. We'll be doing our usual show. So a bit of news, bit of what we've been playing. As of recording, you've probably a lot of you have heard about news at the moment. It's all a bit, the news is a bit negative at the moment in the gaming space. So we've got a couple of bits of sad news, but we've got hopefully one that's a little bit better. But we'll try and keep your hopes up.
Try and keep it light-hearted if we can.
Yeah, we can.
We've got to relay the news of the world.
We've got to
but
relay
we
the
also
news,
want
yeah,
to
but
spread some positivity.
yeah,
where we can.
I'm finding that it's hard doing news at the moment because even with the Switch 2 and bits and pieces out, it's been quite negative news just of late. But we'll cover that. And as always, as we always say, give us your views on that. And we'll give you the details where to send your views on the news and bits and pieces later on in the show. But before we even do the news, it is honour of me to say, Scott, what you been playing?
I'm glad you've asked me because I'm quite cheered up about this. I've actually been a very busy week, been doing a lot of training and other bits and pieces other than work.
Yeah.
But I've got my Switch with me in front of us just so I've been playing a couple of new games and I thought I don't want to forget the name of them. So I've been playing a bit of Mario Kart World, obviously, like I have been saying the last few previous shows. I've still been ticking over with that. I think last time we spoke, I had some friends coming over. I think it might have been the night of the recording, actually, or day after. So I played some Mario Kart World there. I've still got basically all the cars are done. All the trophies are done apart from the 150. I'm just taking my time with them, going online every now and again. With friends, I've been playing online, but there's so many character skins to still to unlock. But it's one of those games where it's just fun for half an hour, but you don't want to sit there on hours on it. So I was like, do you know what? I need to get back into some games. So I had a bit of maybe a realization, a premonition. I'm not quite sure, but I needed to get back to my original roots. And I was thinking about all of the enjoyment I've had with original Switch games. When I was on, before I was a co-host, when we did that Switch Buyer's Guide back in 2023 at Christmas,
Yeah.
I was going through my hidden gems. And when you go through them all, they were just, when I think back at them, like Thief Simulator, and there were some horror ones, even like Dead by Daylight, Friday 13th, there was Mosaic, Firewatch, all these mystery games and stuff as well as the horrors. They weren't physical titles. I stumbled across them just having, a bottle of wine or a few beers, just sitting through the eShop. You go through, you add them to your wish list, you wait for them to sell, and that's how you discover it's hit and miss. But somewhere along the line of my Switch lifespan, I started getting seriously heavily into collecting physical, and obviously you don't want to buy games twice. So a lot of the time I stayed off the eShop because it's a bit like if you're a big reader, obviously, they come paperback first. If they do well, they do hardback. Some of these indie developers, they go eShop first. If it does well, you get a physical. So I was thinking, do you know what? With a Switch 2, other than the essential big ones, I'm going to try and not stay away from physical. I'm still going to go physical, but I'm not going to forget about the eShop because I need to be playing more games. And I thought, do you know what? The last year, I might not have played of the Switch's life. I might not have played as much games as I wanted to. So I went on the eShop, and I tell you what, very impressed. I know you guys have covered it, but a bit like Netflix. The way you hover over the thumbnail, it gives you a bit of a trailer.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that. Because previously you just have the thumbnail art and then you think that looks good. You click on it, go through the screenshots, and it would be nothing to do with the game.
Yeah.
And it was such a catfish moment. I've been going through the eShop. My friend Ed, so Retro Ed UK, who does listen to the show, he told me
shout
about
out to Ed.
Yeah, he told me about the games recommended to you section, and that's new. I didn't know about that. So each week they give you like 10 games. So I had a couple from there. But long story short, I've got a lot of games which I've added to wish list, which I'm going to be getting. And then I thought, right, I'll choose one or two that's on sale now because the sales end, but then they start again. So I went for Stranded Deep, which is a survival game.
Mm-hmm.
It came out in 2020. The reason why I chose that particular game was it looked a bit. I don't know. This and another game looked a bit like Firewatch, basically. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the name of the other game. Let me just open it up because I only played that one, not as much. That was The
Yeah,
Long Dark.
I think our Kayla George, I think he played Stranded Deep.
Well, it was on Game Pass
Oh
because I remember seeing the
yeah.
thumbnail, but it yes, I remember seeing the thumbnail, but then went to look on it before getting it on the Switch. I thought, right, I don't want to pay £12.30. It was under 15 quid on sale. I
Hmm.
thought, before I do that, let me check Game Pass. It might be cheaper doing it that route. But it's gone now. But I definitely saw it. But yeah, in terms of the actual game, so how can I sort of describe it really in a nutshell? So a plane crashes, you wake up in a raft, you go to your island. So straight away you've got like a watch on. You've got there's things you're a bit like a Tamagotchi. So the things you've got to manage is you've got to keep yourself fed, watered, and out of the sun, basically. And it's a crafting game, which is
Hmm.
ironic because I'm not into crafting games at all. Like when there's a big game, even like the Fallout or Zelda, when there's a game that involves crafting, I don't really like it. Even Rainbow Six, the Division. I remember like where you could craft certain guns. I normally avoid that thing. But I've actually been really, really enjoying it. So you start off just doing some simple things, stones, collecting coconuts, and you can go fishing. So it's really fun. It reminds me a bit almost like you can treat it like a bit like Animal Crossing. You can just be the mundane stuff.
Hmm.
So first of all, I survived 6 days, and then I died. And basically, I used some of the resources respawn on the island, but certain things don't, such as stones. So I looked up, and then everyone's like, "Look, you've got to leave your island, go to other islands because there is, other islands out there." So I thought, right, I can see one over there. I swam there at night, went all the way over there, took a few stones and bits, then and swam back. But I remember, I think I got into a position where something happened, like a key resource, and I couldn't really progress. So once I died, I was like, right, I'm going to start again. I get it now. And when like when you're really into a game, when you're not playing it, you're watching it. So I was
Hmm.
watching on YouTube and I thought, oh no, so the boat you start on, the raft, this might sound really silly. I didn't pull out the beach, so it got washed away. And basically, everyone playing this game, there's predators out there, right? So there's proper predators, there's sharks everywhere. But I didn't realise the sharks were getting involved because I've tried before, like with a spear, to hunt a shark, and it didn't seem bothered. So I thought, oh, there must be like NPCs that don't get involved. So I've swum all the way to another island, swum all the way back, and then I've put YouTube on at night in bed, and everyone's going, "Oh yeah, make sure you got a raft. Don't go out swimming; you'll get eaten by sharks." So I must have had the luckiest swim in the world because I've gone up and back. Anyway, so I thought better of it. So I've tried to advance everything properly this time. So I've got all the different things. I've got a little system I've built to collect the rain. I've made an axe, and I'm working on collecting resources to make a bird snare trap. And I thought, right, I need to go to the next island. I want to try and not just survive. I want to build. I want to get
Hmm.
more. Because if you build enough, you unlock certain crafting things, and there's a story element. So I think you could even build an aeroplane to really fly away. There is a story
Oh
in there,
wow.
but I've probably only done 5 to 10 hours, so I haven't even got given a prompt to do the story because
Hmm.
I'm still sort of trying to
Is it like
survive. I'm not.
a bit like a roguelike? And if you die, you do have to start again. You don't carry anything
You
over,
can
or
you can choose your settings. Yeah, well, yes, you will start again. Yeah, so you
yeah,
just go back to your save point, or you have to start it again. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Oh, okay.
sometimes what it's like. You have to. If you go back to the same save point, you're going to die again anyway. So it does become a bit like a roguelike. You have to just go back to the beginning.
Hmm.
And I think things do spawn slightly different as well, actually, on your island. I don't think it's exactly the same from
Oh, okay.
memory. But the second time I did it, I was like, right, now I'm going to go over to this other island. So I swam to an island. It obviously wasn't the same island. I got over there, and then as soon as I got off the boat, a wild boar attacked me, and it proper damaged me. And I had this. I didn't think to take anything. All I had was this little. I think it's just called a crude stone tool. It's basically like a little shank knife, like you get in prison. And we had a good go at each other, and it ran away. And I thought, right, I'll go hunting that because that's good meat. I won't have to fish. I won't have to catch crabs and skin them. I'm going to kill it. And I made a mistake going after the boar, and it basically killed me. And then when I looked up how to kill the boar, everyone calls it the giant boar. So I think it's the biggest predator in the game. So I think I just got pure bad luck. So I avoided the
Oh
sharks, but
no.
then I stumbled across that. So I kind of was like, right, now I need to make sure I don't go back to that island. Or if I do go to that island, make sure I've got enough weapons to kill it because there was so many materials there. It's clever how it's done. You want to be at that island. But yes, it's really, really good. It's nice to have a real good passion about a game again, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean, and get
Yeah.
really into it.
Something that gets us hooks in you is really, that's great fun when you get that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know too much about what else they done. I've just pulled up a tab now. I'm just trying to have a look in terms of the developer, Stranded Deep, because I think they are working on the second one. So I think it has got right, yeah, Beam Team, North Beach Games, and Fun Labs. But yeah, it was 2020, licensed from Beam Team, Fun Labs. But yeah, I mean, it was on Game Pass. I'd be interested to hear from any of our listeners. Let me know on Discord if anyone's played it, because I've had a real good time with it. The other game, The Long Dark. Now that's a little bit more well polished, I would say, graphically and with a story narrative.
Hmm.
So that reminds me a lot more like Firewatch. So you're in a hangar. You can tell you've got some relationship
Yeah, I think
issues.
I've got that on. Is that
Oh,
PS4?
I don't. There's actually a paid for DLC that's about to come out, which might be why it
Hmm.
dropped on eShop on a sale.
Yeah.
But basically, you're an alcoholic. Someone comes to see you. It's bad weather. You shouldn't be flying, but you need the money. And obviously, yeah, another plane wreck. There's a lot of plane wrecks. I hope no one's listening to this going on holiday soon. Yeah, so another plane wreck, and then you're in the mountains in the snow. You've got to survive, but yeah, it's very well polished. So I haven't done much on there. I've literally, survived the night. You make a little bed. You heal yourself with some bandages. The crafting's not really crafting. You just click on it, it does it automatically. You
Oh,
don't
okay.
really feel like you've got to collect stuff, drop stuff, and all that, or harvest things, or chop wood. And then, yeah, I've sort of started to climb out of the mountains. But I've just been playing that it's basically been between Stranded Deep and Maricart World, those two. And then the Long Dark is just sort of introducing itself in. But yeah, I wouldn't say survival games are my thing, RGT, but sometimes you've just got to do something different.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ever wondered what a rhythm-based stealth game with dinosaurs might look like? Or a farming sim in space with zombies? Welcome to the Gaming Blender podcast. I'm Matt, and with my co-host Scott, we take a random game genre and random game mechanics, blend them all up, and pitch wild, totally hypothetical games you've never heard of, and maybe shouldn't. New episodes every other week. Hit play and unleash your inner game dev. No coding required. Search the Gaming Blender on your favorite podcast app now.
I think with certain game genres, I had that with like FPS. I know I had motion sickness with them, but you just in your head you assume that the game isn't that genre isn't going to be for you because of what you think it'll be. Then when you actually start
Yeah.
playing it, you think, "Oh, hang on, this is different to what I thought," and then that sort of opens you up to a whole new sort of genre. Then, but yeah, I mean, Stranded Deep. I've passed over that many times, but now you've suddenly got me thinking, I might have
Yeah,
a
I
little
mean,
go at that.
I think at full price, I mean, it was like 30% off. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't want you to pay 20, 30 quid in case you don't enjoy it. But
Mm,
like I say, I've played more than 5 hours and I didn't even pay £15. So, I mean, I've
yeah.
had my money's worth already. And, oh, mate, I love it, to be honest. So I'm going to go back and keep playing it. And I've not even got to the story bit. I mean, the thumbnail of the game, you're on a raft fighting a huge, kraken or something. So there's
Mm,
definitely stuff out there, a bit like Dredge, maybe, there's a bigger
mm,
story. But
yeah.
at the minute, I'm just trying to survive. And it is really addictive. I'll be sitting there I've been playing a lot on handheld actually, while the wife's been, I have played Docked as well. But the wife's been watching TV. I've got my headphones on and you talk out loud. And she must be sick of it because I keep going, oh no, I've run out of palm fronds or I can't find any coconuts. She must be thinking, what is he going on about?
What
Like,
the hell? He's lost the plot.
yeah, and it's funny how it affects you. So like, I went for a long run this morning, and I went around a nature reserve, did many loops of like a bird reserve, and there's a lot of nice plants. And I remember, like, I was sort of thinking back and forth, and I was thinking like I was in the game. I was like, oh, I should pick that up. I might need that later.
Oh,
Harvest it.
you say that going right back in the day when me and Mrs. RGT first got together, and all I was playing, me and my mate, Bald Border, all we were playing was Vice City. And I picked her up and we were going to the local coast. And as I was driving past, there was an ambulance on the side of the road with lights on. And in my head, I was thinking, triangle, triangle, triangle. You could get me.
Really?
She said,
so
you're
funny.
miles away. What are you thinking? I said, I was thinking triangle from Vice City, that I could just get in and drive the ambulance away. And she was like, you need a break from that game.
I tell you what, it's funny though when everyone knows it. I mean, when we used to play football on a Saturday, we used to have a football team, and when someone was sprinting down the ring, rather than make a run, someone used to shout out R1 or R2. Like, it used to make me laugh. Like, everyone knew what it meant. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
You'll be in the box like double tap square. Like, it's a low cross. It's all in code.
Yeah, R1 circle, lob through ball, through ball, R1 circle. Brilliant.
But yeah, other than that, I was playing GTA 4, but after doing just many missions, I was finding it to be a bit repetitive. It wasn't like incredibly challenging, and the story wasn't going too mad for me, gripping me. Still was enjoying GTA 4, but I think that was just when I must have got to a mission. I thought, do you know what? I fancy something else. And then I must have put Mario Kart World on. And then I was like, right, I need a proper new game. So, so I'm really, really happy to find a couple new games. But that is pretty much all I've been playing at the minute. But what about you, RGT? What have you been playing?
Similar to you, keep diving into Mario Kart on and off. Little 15-minute, half-hour sessions here. Trying to get a Grand Prix done or a cup done, just keep chipping away at it. That's sort of in the background sort of game. But the only other thing I've been playing is the Precinct, which I have rolled the end credits on. So the Precinct is done. I think I put 18 hours in, to complete it.
Oh, wow. So that wasn't too far off. So I think I said 15 hours?
About 15, yeah.
So that's
15.
spot on. You did, that's good.
Yeah, I think I had a couple more. I say a couple. I think I'd done about 4 or 5 more shifts. There was 2 gangs. Got the other gang's boss, which then opened the story up. I won't say too much because it's quite a new game. I don't want to spoil it, but opened the story up to corruption and bits, which then you have to get off and finish that.
A bit of an internal affair, was it? Without spoiling. Oh, that sounds interesting.
Bit of a twist to the story, but I mean, what do I think of the Precinct? I said before, some of the shifts can be a bit repetitive. But once you work out that some of the shifts can be repetitive, because when you look at your shift patterns or your shift rota, that'll say what you're doing, how many hours and bits and pieces, but it will also say how many crimes you need to complete in that area. So if there's none, then you know that area is completed. So try and do the ones where you just got the purple right, and that'll say get 5 crimes in this area. And then while you're doing them, you'll gain evidence towards the gangs in the story. So you might arrest, say, 10 people on a shift, but maybe 3 of them were gangs. So you've got evidence against that gang, which will then trigger it for you to take that gang's boss on. So that once I worked that out, that freed it up a bit. Would I say it's worth playing? I think definitely, yeah. It's a small...
I still would, RGT, yeah, just from what you said last week, buddy, to be honest.
That's a small British development team. I loved American Fugitive. I was playing that when I first got involved with this podcast. Really enjoyed that game, but it's the same thing. It can be a little bit repetitive, but it's a little different. It's got that old school sort of love letter vibe back to the old original GTAs. It's got that sort of side to it, but you've got the modern graphics. You got the cheesy 70s, 80s storylines, and there's nothing's too in depth, but there's a little bit of everything, if that makes sense. So you can unlock cars as you go. You've got a very light upgrade tree, so you can upgrade how much ammo you hold, your health, your car. So it's all little tweaks. But for an 18 hours I put into the game, I think that's about right. I think, I was about done with it, but I think it's definitely worth a play. It's very affordable. Like we said last week, it's a lovely steelbook. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
I think with that as well, don't quote me on it, I think I got the digital soundtrack with that as well. which is quite cool. Yeah, I think they've done a good job. I think it's a way about the money is of the game. I definitely, if you played American Fugitive, then I think you've got to play this. For what it is, I think it's done well. It's a good bit of fun. Yeah, and I'd like to think they'll do another game in this style, that isometric sort of nice graphics, retro sort of cop game, or like the American Fugitive one. There's enough in them to keep you interested, but that doesn't overstay its welcome. So I'd give it a good 7 out of 10, I think.
Yeah, I don't feel like there's, maybe just because it's not got the appeal. I think the reason why they stand out, there's not as many on that side. Obviously, they're always on the crime side, aren't they? I remember old games on the PC like Police Quest. But that other one you said about, I mean, I don't know anything about that. And I remember there was it might have been PS2, unless that is a similar game, where you played on the police side. It wasn't like a Ghost Recon first-person shooter, but it was a bit more of a serious and not arcadey. You was with the police, a bit like a SWAT sort of style game. And you come through and... yeah, it's nice to be on that side of the law, rather than it being like Payday and you're trying to heist all the time. It is quite interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's quite good because they do, like, when you arrest people and you have to check their ID first. And then, once you've arrested them, you make sure you read them their rights, because you can lose XP for that. So then you check their ID, and then you could search
More like a simulation, because you wouldn't, unless you played that and you didn't know, like, obviously, you wouldn't know what the caution is, would you? Unless you actually have played those games.
But then even once you've searched them, and they might have counterfeit money, or they might have an illegal weapon. So then when you go to resolve, you have to then go to charges. So you'll have on foot, driving, or possession charges, and you have to click through your little wheel and say, well, they had counterfeit money, they avoided arrest, they tried to assault you, so you tick them all off and then you arrest them. And then you could either drive them back and book them in yourself, or you call for a squad car and they come and get the criminal for you, and you carry on your way. So yeah, I mean, I'm sort of 60% through the trophies. I think it's a very, very doable platinum. I mean,
are you going to try and go for it?
Yeah, I mean, I've got things like stunt jumps, booking 30 criminals, because most of the ones, I must be close to it, but most of them, when I arrested them, I would call for a squad car so I could carry on in the area where I was working. But yeah, I think it could be a doable. There's like hidden cache boxes around here you can get. I think I've got 5 of them. I think there's 20, so go and find those. And I mean, that's not a massive map; it's quite a small map, but it's quite like an intrigue to it.
Yeah, the simulation side of it that you spoke, obviously before you was only just so many hours into the game, but now obviously you're finished and you're talking about it more in detail. It's sort of the fact that it's got quite a sim-like thing to it. I quite like that. I don't know why. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to fulfill another job. Like, I remember an indie game on the Switch. It's called, I've actually got the second one in my eShop wish list. It was called Not Tonight. I told you about it. It was about it was a bit of a sort of jokey game. It was about Brexit. You play a bouncer. You're about to get evicted, due to some European laws coming through. It's a bit of tongue-in-cheek game, but it was very like retro 8-bit sort of graphics or whatnot. But when you was on the doors, you'd be earning your money when the nightclub opens, and you have to, sometimes you let people in the club, if there was underage, to take a bribe and stuff like that. You had to check all their ID. You actually had to do the actual mundane day-to-day stuff. And I found there's something quite nice about it. I don't know why. It's weird, because you're working when you're not working. I mean, you're on a game, you should be relaxing, playing like a fantasy, but sometimes you find enjoyment in those sort of sim games.
Yeah.
I suppose it's no different to Animal Crossing, is it, when you're looking after a farm or something like that?
Yeah, and I mean, in this as well, it had some good twists. So, like, when you did get involved, when it suddenly kicked off and you had a gun battle, whether that was a story-driven level or it just kicked off when you're on your job, suddenly you just can't walk in like shooting, you will die straight away. You have to take cover. Your right analog stick is your cross, and you have to aim it at the person you want. And when you're shooting, you can then gently push that analog up to get a headshot or take them down, or sometimes you'll give them 2 or 3 shots and then they'll just, the green handcuffs go, they'll put their hands up and surrender. Some won't. But some of the battles story-wise, when you go to some of these gangs, are proper shootouts. Some of them took me 2 or 3 attempts to go through, because You have to sort of get in that cover, get up, take a couple of shots, get back down. You can't just stand there and shoot away because you will have it. They'll have you. So that was quite a nice twist to it, because suddenly from just doing parking tickets, now you're in a gangland shootout. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. I think for the value of it and how cheap it is, I think, yeah, give it a play. It was good fun.
I was saying
Good fun.
to you to post it to me when you finished last time, but the fact that you said it's a British developer, with what's going on in the news at the moment, maybe I should just buy a copy to show a bit of support.
Yeah.
To
Fair play.
the company, because mate, I'm going to maybe I'll make a quick note of it on my phone just in case. Sometimes I write some games in there because once the hype dies down, I might forget about it, but I do like the sound of it, so I am going to give that a shout. So thank you very much.
No worries. I do that all the time with games.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you see it 6 months later on a YouTube video, you go, oh, yeah, I was going to buy that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good idea. Get it listed in your notes.
Any other games, or has that kind of been you for this week?
No, that is it's pretty much me, really. I didn't have a lot of time to play, so when I did play, I just thought, right, let's get the Precinct done, get that out the door. So this week's going to be sort of something different, I think, but we'll go into that later. I think it's time for me to say we scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. And first up, this is from over at our friends at Eurogamer. They cover this story very well, which is why I've used their article. Microsoft Xbox layoffs June 2025. What's clear and what's not as the weekend nears. So, yeah, this week, as widely expected, based on early reports, Microsoft began another sweeping round of layoffs. Its fourth in just 18 months, this time affecting thousands of people across the company. It's believed more than 9,000 employees have lost their jobs as a result of this most recent move, which Microsoft told Eurogamer were necessary to position the company and teams for success in a dynamic marketplace, which is very CEO speak there. But since the announcement, additional reports have surfaced painting a clearer picture of the devastation brought by Microsoft's latest cost-cutting measures, as well as the substantial impact on its Xbox division. Beyond the significant human cost of the move, which Xbox boss Phil Spencer insisted was necessary to ensure the enduring success, air quotes, enduring success of the company in a message to staff. Further details on the Pacific studios and projects impacted have now begun to emerge. Rare's fantasy adventure, Everwild, which I will say looked very good from what I had seen. I was quite interested in that. It almost looked like a sort of Rare's version of Breath of the Wild. I quite like the look of that. But anyway, unfortunately, Rare's fantasy adventure, Everwild, first announced in 2019, has reportedly been cancelled. For instance, leading to the departure of studio veteran Greg Miles after 35 years, who I do believe worked on the original Banjo-Kazooies and all those. He's been there a long time doing some big games for them, so that is sad news. Microsoft's troubled Perfect Dark reboot, unveiled in 2020, has reportedly also ceased production, and its first-party developer, The Initiative, has been closed. Microsoft is also said to have terminated its partnership with Crystal Dynamics, which was called in to help on the beleaguered project back in 2022, raising questions around how that team may also be impacted by yesterday's news. Elsewhere, in an unannounced ZeniMax MMO has reportedly been cancelled, while 200 people are said to have lost their jobs at Microsoft-owned Candy Crush maker King, and nearly 50% of staff at Forza Motorsport developer Turn 10 have reportedly been laid off. The full extent and impact of Microsoft's massive organisational and workforce changes are yet to become clear, with Microsoft only providing limited information to press. It has, however, moved swiftly to deny rumours of Phil Spencer's imminent retirement, insisting the Xbox boss won't be retiring from his position anytime soon. It isn't just projects within Microsoft that have been affected too. Romero Games, the small Irish developer set up and run by Brenda Romero and John Romero, has had the funding pulled on its new shooter.
Yeah, I saw that. That's sad.
Yeah, effectively ending the project, and a trailer for Contraband, the co-op smuggling game by Swedish outfit Avalanche Games, has disappeared from Xbox YouTube channel, raising questions about the health of the project. With new reports continuing to surface around this week's bombshell, its impact on Xbox, we've set up this rolling news blog, which, like I say, is over on Eurogamer, to sift through the confusion and to collate breaking news and industry reactions as the stories continue to evolve. I'll run through these key points just quick. There was Xbox executives outlines ways laid off staff can use AI to help them find new jobs. I'm sure that's great.
I saw that actually on Google.
Sure, it's great comfort for them. Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
Speculation mounts as Avalanche's Contraband trailer disappears. Then there was Rare's Everwild cancelled following Xbox's job cuts. Then we had Sea of Thieves and Banjo-Kazooie director Greg Miles reportedly leaving Rare after 35 years. Then after that, we had Phil Spencer, Microsoft Gaming CEO, not retiring from Xbox anytime soon. The rumor was as soon as this generation was over, so I heard, but what that was about, I don't know. Due to layoffs, Warcraft Rumble won't receive any more content updates. Then there was context for Xbox's most recent wave of layoffs, and then that followed up with the last bit we got, which was Romero Games' new shooter cancelled by Xbox. I mean, this to me is this? I mean, is this just an Xbox thing? Is this just the era we're in, Scott? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it could be enhanced from the Switch 2 success, but I think it needs to look more just at the history. And when you sort of look at a few different articles, so I'm just looking what I have been looking before we went on the show. So London newspaper, the Metro, did quite a good article, but it's very heavily biased on pretty much slagging off Phil Spencer. But obviously things can be subjective, and obviously you can argue, you can read things, they can be worded and make you feel a certain way, can't they? You read an article. I'm glad you read that one, it was more well balanced, but it kind of makes sense. So what they're saying on this Metro article. So, I mean, first of all, we're sorry to anyone who has been affected by this, because I believe the figure that I've got in front of me, I believe there's 4,000 staff that have been laid off, 4,000 this weekend at time of recording. This is literally within the last 24 hours. So it's very fresh. But yeah, Phil Spencer's been in charge for 11 years, and they're saying that, we already had the success before he was there. Their biggest success, the original Xbox, it competed, but it didn't smash the party away, obviously, with their Halos and stuff. But the 360 obviously had that big, amazing spell, and for different reasons, because with the PS3 maybe being a bit more behind, they had the Xbox achievements, they had the exclusive, they had a few things to get them ahead. But since then, they kind of haven't really been at the races, have they? With the Xbox One and with the Series X. And they're saying, what has Phil Spencer done in 11 years? 2 failed consoles and no improvement from first-party output, despite everyone saying that. And he wasted because he spent billions buying Activision, Blizzard, and Bethesda games. Yeah. And we didn't see much from it. It wasn't necessarily a good thing. They were doing well, those companies. So it's like he brought out the competition and then let them burn out. That's strong words, but
I know what you mean. I mean, for me, it's almost like they seem to be struggling for an identity now. I mean, back in the day, when you thought of Xbox, originally when the first one came out, you'd thought, oh, it's almost like having a consoleized PC, very powerful in your house, something a bit different to a PS2 and a GameCube. Yeah. Then the 360 jumped the gun and beat PS3 out, and you had fantastic exclusives and, people playing, some of the first people to play online with your Call of Duties and stuff. And then it was, Xbox One, they really missed the mark with that. But I mean, what is their identity now? What is their purpose? I mean, they seem to be clawing at so many. Yeah, they seem to be clawing at so many different things. I don't quite know what they are anymore.
They
And
need to niche into something. That's what they need to do.
this week, and this sounds really sad, and I find it really sad. I've had 3 people say the same thing to me this week, and they have said this is like Sega all over again. They're going to end up being a third party developer, which they technically are now, Xbox, but they're just going to be a third party developer. And I think that's so sad. And it's just what they tried to go a different route with Games Pass. As of recording, I think their figures of 35 million Games Pass subscribers, but I think that has dropped off. And I also think it's bottomed out, but you need them subscribers to keep growing, to keep producing the games, to keep getting the money in to put those games on day one. We said this last week, but day and date, you need to keep gaining subscribers. And I think when they first started Games Pass, their initial figure was 100 million subscribers. And they've they're plateaued at 30, 35. And I think that's been a struggle. But ever since then, that's hard to, I've criticised PlayStation in the past for bringing out random hardware bits, but that always seems to be well planned and stuff they've made and built in house. Whereas this is latching on to other companies and, with the Rogue Ally and
but they all made sense. PlayStation, the PSPs and the VR and the Portal. They're all decent stuff, weren't they? Let's be honest. The Vita is all decent stuff.
Yeah, and
I could see the idea behind it.
And also with the Portal, it was, yes, it had a troubled launch, but everyone I know who's got it, or most people I know got it, enjoy it.
It works now.
It's handy. Yeah, it's good to have when and it's to play the PlayStation more. Now Xbox have gone in and doing this handheld, which you can't play all the Microsoft games on.
Yeah. Who's it appealing to?
I don't. Yeah, and
you either got a Switch or you might have a Steam Deck. I don't feel like, and the Portals support the PlayStation. Like, what's the Xbox going to do? If it supporting the Xbox, is that going to be bringing more players? I don't think that's what they was looking at. They were looking at it being a separate.
Yeah, and I
entity,
think it's a shame. And Phil Spencer, how likeable he is, he's always been a gamer. He's always played with people online. He's been very vocal with where Xbox are, which in one way is good because you keep the fans informed. On the other way, it's bad because we all have a digital footprint. So anything we say will be recorded forever and it will come back to haunt you. So, for instance, when he said none of our games will be going over to PlayStation and then suddenly Forza, Indiana Jones, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, and suddenly they're going, hang on, you said they weren't going on there. Do you know what I mean? And it's little things like that where you just think sometimes, I know Sony and their CEOs are the other way. They hardly say anything, they run it as a business. So I think some sort of happy medium there. But overall, this is very sad. If you're listening and you have lost your job, like Scott said earlier, our condolences. That's very sad. Do I think this is the end of it so far? I don't think this is. I think this is news that will keep growing. I think, my opinion overall, I think Phil Spencer's now been governed by Microsoft, who have now said, right, you've spent all this money, you've billions on these companies. We aren't seeing the comeback. That's time to reduce this down a little bit now. Which, is sad. But like I say, I don't think this will be the end of it. I think as the weeks go on, I think there's probably going to be more news coming out of Microsoft and Xbox as to where they're heading, what they're doing. Are they doing a new console? Apparently they are. See what games they bring out and where they head. But it's unfortunately it's very negative news at the moment, and I'm just finding.
there is one. There's an article from purexbox.com, and that shares I don't know how they've got hold of this information, but this shares from Matt Booty, the internal. That is a real name, Matt Booty.
Yeah.
This is the internal statement done to the employees, and basically, without reading out the whole news article, he was saying it's been, not taken lightly, but it was done in the mind of, closing down what they think can't be salvaged. And then using that money and those people to make better something that they think. So they sounds like they're having a reshift around, but then, I hope that's true. But they're still, using words like success, and they want to change things around and try and improve some of their other parts and studios. But yeah, it's that initiative which does Perfect Dark and Everwild. So that they're saying they're trying to change resources away and funding to help the company grow. But yeah, I don't know. It's obviously there's a lot more to it, and it's a tough industry, the game industry. You know, maybe this is just something that has to happen, and maybe I don't know. People work in gaming, are they used to it? You know, like football managers. You know, you have a bad season, you get binned off. Maybe it's just how it is. You know, they land on their feet. Maybe they know there's enough jobs collectively for them, and it's a small world. But yeah, I
Yeah, and
mean,
I suppose
it
I
doesn't
saw
sound
the.
doesn't sound too doom and gloom. Basically, when you read that statement, if anyone does want to check it out, yeah, purexbox.com. If you are, solely an Xbox gamer, I'm sure you've already
Yeah,
gone around the internet and looked at everything. But yeah, the full statement can be read on there.
yeah. I saw the one that Phil Spencer sent round, and that was. I can imagine that had been hard to swallow for the developers and anyone working in the industry for them at the time who lost their jobs, because
Yeah,
it was one of the lines was, "We're biggest as we've ever been. We've got the most people playing online. We're the most success." And then the next line was, "Sorry, we're going to have to let you go." And you're like, "Hang on." But I suppose money talks, and with AI coming in, is this now the shift we're seeing? But well, like I say, we covered a bit of this last week. We covered it again this week. Xbox news. I know it's negative news. It's nice to have some good fun stories, but that's our job to cover it. So we covered it this week. Any more between now and next week, we'll keep you informed again next week. So yeah. Let's hope we get some good news out of Xbox in the coming week anyway. So what bit of news you got there then, Scott?
So I got a little bit on Nintendo. I have to slip the Nintendo article in, don't we? RGT every week, especially as it's doing so well. So Switch port specialist believes Switch 2 can surpass its predecessor's success. And that is a big statement because we all know how well the original Switch done. So this is from NintendoLife.com, particularly by Liam Doolan. So this article is. So one company that backed the Switch throughout its life was a port specialist, Virtues, working on games like Dark Souls and The Outer Worlds for its hybrid platform. It might just be the beginning of the Switch 2's life, but the same team is already sounding confident about the new hardware's future. Speaking to WCC FTech, I don't know how you say that, WCC FTech, recently, Owen O'Grady, the technical director for Virtual's Black Shamrock, which is Starlink Battle for Atlas, believes the Switch 2 will surpass the success of the original system. He believes the growth in the handheld gaming market right now, thanks to the devices like the original Switch and even the Steam Deck they've included, will help the Switch 2's success. So I guess if it adds to the competition, it's like if you get a new corner shop down the road, when another one adds opposite, it just helps them both. And it can feed off from this growing demand for gaming on the go, with a combination of indie gems, Nintendo exclusives, and now AAA blockbuster titles, which makes sense because obviously phones are so powerful. We're getting to that era now where the computers are so powerful. If you can take some of that power and make it handheld, you can take it on the go. Then why wouldn't you? So Virtual's North America Director of Business Development, Alex Heiss, adds to this, highlighting how the strong brand and proven success of original Switch system with a 2 attached to the name should make the value of the new device immediately clear compared to certain other Nintendo systems of the past. So I guess they're referring to the Wii and the Wii U, but that wasn't quite clear for parents. He says how, although nobody preferably fully predicted the Switch 2 would become the fastest selling console launch of all time, Virtue still had high expectations. So the Switch 2 is the most innovative console Nintendo has launched in quite some time, dating back to the transition from the NES to SNES. So comparing it to that era in Step Up, because those were 2 phenomenal consoles. So no Nintendo console has ever had a 2 in its name. So there's a weird little fact. And people were thinking it was going to be Super Switch at one point as well. But that's how confident they are in this horse. The fact they're like, no, we don't need to change much. Just stick 2 next to it. So Nintendo have confirmed its new hybrid hardware has sold over 3.5 million units worldwide in the first 4 days of the system's life, also making it the highest global sales level for any Nintendo hardware ever. As of March 31st, 2025, the original Switch has sold more than 152 units worldwide in 8 years. So I guess the projection is that it's going to shoot past it, I'm assuming is what they're thinking. So other third-party developers showing their support for the Switch 2 include companies like CD Projekt Red, which is Cyberpunk 2077, which George has been playing, and Capcom Street Fighter 6, which I did play, but I played that on the PS4. So yeah, it's another. Lucky Seb's not on; he'd be upset about that. He'd be falling off his chair. But yeah, it's just. I mean, Switch 2 is going very, very well, and like we've been speaking previously, obviously about the hardware in the recent week since it came out, and how improved it is, and it really is. If you guys haven't got a Switch 2 and you've got a Switch, if you know a friend that's got a Switch 2, take yours to their house, and because when you put them next to each other, it is so different. You don't realise it's a whole generation apart. It's not a minor upgrade. This isn't like PS5 and PS5 Pro. This is a huge step up. It really is.
Which is that's always surprised me when I do see quite a lot of critics of the Switch 2. And like I said last week and the week before, what if you asked these people before the Switch 2 launched, what would you say you wanted from the Switch 2? And that would have been a bigger screen, bigger Joy-Cons, bigger buttons, 4K on your TV, 1080p where possible on the screen, and even little bits like make the Joy-Cons connect better. They've done that. Have a USB C port on the top so you can charge it while you're playing with the screen down on the stand. They've done that. So all these little bits, game chat, they've done that. So it's all those upgrades you wanted. But for me, I find it a big step up because not only, I mean, a lot of people there's been a lot of people moaning about the screen, saying there's a lot of ghost and bits and pieces. I haven't noticed it myself. They say it's a poor quality screen. It looks good to me, so I'm happy with that. But it is such a step up from like they've done everything. So like you say, the eShop is really good now. I think it's so much better. It's snappier, it's quicker, everything loads quicker. All your original Switch games. I mean, I'm sitting next to a pile here. We've all got a lot of Switch games, but now if you want to go back or games you haven't played, put them in your Switch 2. They're going to play better. A lot of them are now hitting 60 FPS. Lockdown.
They've done everything we wanted. Like you said, they've done what we wanted in terms of bringing bigger games over, making the ones playable. They've got other third parties to bring big games we never thought we'd see on Nintendo. They've done every hardware thing we thought they could do. They've tried to keep the prices down as much as they can for the equipment being used, I think. And then the thing that goes really under the radar, I know we touched on it on a previous show, RGT, but they smashed the logistics out of the park. No one's been scalped. No one's had to pay 800 quid for a console. You can go anywhere and get them. There's no panic.
Apparently, they had 20 million in stock. They made 20 million ready for launch. So
that's amazing, though. It's so good to hear.
I was suddenly, 2 or 3 people in our Discord who bought them, walked in a shop and bought them.
Yeah.
2 days after launch, just walked in and bought one. I mean, how unusual. So planning wise, well done, Nintendo. You done fantastic on that.
It's nice because sometimes I feel like they want to cause a panic to make it seem,
keep
it's
demand
like
high, keep
the demand high, and they're so confident in their product.
Yeah.
They've just made, like you said, they've made all those units available, and it's just honestly, mate, I can't fault them really. The only negative thing I can say is the battery life. That's the only thing I can say because it did affect me. So I had my friends over. I left the Switch out, and then so I played. I played it for like an hour undocked. I left it out for a night or 2 nights on the standby mode, and then I went to put it in the dock, and it was on like low battery. And I thought on the old Switch that wouldn't happen. You could leave it for all week. Yeah. And you could play it for 5-6 hours. But it is literally because I played undocked one night for a few hours and the battery started going down. That's my only negative thing, but I know they'll fix it with a newer model, and I haven't got a problem with that, to be honest.
And I think where you got to hand them credit is they've had their fingers burnt seriously in the past, like you said in when you were reading the article, the Wii and the Wii U. Now I really like the Wii U. I think it's good.
It's a great console. Just no one really got to play it.
They're on a hiding to nothing the way they marketed it, and people didn't realise that. And even now, I have a Wii U, and I think it was about 3 months ago, I had a friend come around and I said, "What's that?" I said, "It's a Wii U," and I'm like, "Oh, I thought the Wii's are white," and I was like, "No, it's a Wii U. It's the next one." "Oh, I thought a Wii U was like just an add-on for the Wii."
Well,
And I
mate,
was
the
like, no,
perfect,
no,
yeah,
it's a
but
separate
perfect
concept.
example of it. I was round. Obviously, I am a gamer like yourself. I was round a friend's, Dave's house, and I remember we was round there one night. My wife and then his wife was round there, and it was, oh, let's play a game, play on the Wii, and it was a Luigi's Mansion or something like that. But you got to control with the Wii U controller, like some sort of mini game. Like one of you
Yeah.
used the actual thing, and one of you used TV. And he said, "I'll play Wii U." It didn't clock. And then he passed me his white thing. I said, "This isn't a Wii." I was like, "What's this?" And it really confused me. I was like, "Where have I been?" But obviously, I must not have been in a full modern gaming era. And I had no idea this system had come out. And I had a
Yeah.
Wii, and I was like, "Oh, I thought it was just like a controller for it." He went, "No, it's so." I was so confused when he explained to me it's a whole system. I was like, "Is it?" I literally did not know. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm someone that plays games.
And I
So
think,
imagine
it's,
a mum going into a shop. It's such an easy mistake to make, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. And I think, what did it sell? 16 million total in its life, Wii U. And what we now, I mean, as we're recording this, they're probably pushing 5 million Switch 2s. So it's a quarter of the way of the Wii U sales in the first month. You know, it's
That
so
really hits home, doesn't it?
yeah. So I think they've done it right this time. I think the marketing's been right this time. They've made you know that yes, if you love Switch, this is still Switch. But if you're new to it and you've always been put off by the Switch being a bit underpowered, you ain't got to
Yeah,
worry
Switch
now
2.
because the Switch 2 is the one. You know, so yeah, I think they've done it well. A lot of people complained about the branding and the boxes. It's a bit boring. But if you're a casual gamer, that Switch logo, you know, why change
It's
it? You know
clear,
that
yeah.
logo.
And the original Switch was the same, right? The very first edition. Do you remember the red and blue or whatever
Yeah,
it was?
yeah,
And then what they do is at Christmas they bring out the Smash Brothers. They bring
yeah,
out the Pokemon Go Eevee one.
yeah.
That's for the ones who, and I'll do the same. I'll buy one, so I know what happened. They'll bring something out, and you don't mind because it's got a slight adjustment to it. They'll probably sort the battery issue out, and it'll be 8 months since you bought the last one, or whatever 6 months.
They know how to sell their
Yeah.
consoles, don't they? I mean, we've got 4 in our house, and it's only me and Mrs. RGT play them. So that tells you why we've got 4 consoles. So
But
yeah,
sometimes simple is more. You want it to be clear. You want it to be look like a display box that people know, right? That's what that is. I mean, have a look back at your original PlayStation 1 box.
yeah,
It just said PlayStation. I mean, PlayStation 2 was the same. There's no jazz to it.
no, no, no. It's
Same
just
with the Dreamcast. It was just the logo slapped on the front, wasn't it? That was all it was. You didn't need
yeah,
to. That's how you stood out.
yeah. Bring your eyes to to what it is, not what the picture is on
Yeah.
the box. So yeah, no, I still think the Switch is just quietly selling away millions at the moment, and I can only see it. You know, will it? I mean, they're saying that's going to be more successful than the original Switch. I mean, that's a long way to go for that. I mean,
It
the original
has, but yeah,
I
I think
mean,
they're onto something, mate. I think they really are. I mean,
well,
what's
if you got Capcom and CD Projekt Red are launched on release, so they've got faith in this system, and now you're thinking there's going to be there's an Elden Ring game coming to it from Software. So everyone who's these devs who have had these dev kits have sort of played it and thought, do you know what? Yeah, we'll release on this.
And you
So
got to think how many games have come out on the PlayStation 5. It's quite disappointing. Say they announced end of next year, right? PlayStation 6 and it's going to come out in 2027 spring. And that could happen. For think how long the PS5's been out, that could happen, right?
Yeah.
But I won't want to throw another 700 quid at it
no,
because I haven't been fulfilled. And I'm someone that buys bloody everything. So
And
if
I-
I'm saying that, the average Joe's not going to want to do it.
well, I was talking off air to George a couple of weeks ago, and this is the thing that got me thinking. I thought of it, asked him, and I said, if these big devs, right, releasing, like say, a Call of Duty, or they're releasing an Assassin's Creed, or one of these big games we all know, right? Now, me and you, we're in a privileged position. We've got the 3 big consoles, haven't we? Right. So if they then say, right, Assassin's Creed, whatever, new one, Assassin's Creed 20, whatever it'll be, is coming out 2 months' time, and it's coming out on Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and Switch 2. Which one would you buy, Scott?
Switch.
And I think I would as well, because you're getting, yes, it's going to look better on the other two, but only marginally. It's not a massive gap lot before. We aren't going to get a poor man's port. Cyberpunk looks fantastic. It's a really good 4K game. And the thing is, if you buy the Switch 2 version, you have got the handheld side of it. So you can carry on playing that game. And I think now that they're bringing their graphics up a bit more towards the other big two, I think the other two, even though they say their competitors aren't Nintendo, I think they've got to be a little bit worried, because that could entice people to buy the Switch 2 port rather than the Xbox or the PlayStation port. So we'll see. We'll see as things are released, and we'll see. See what happens. But yeah, at the moment they're storming away with sales and bits.
At
and
least there's
pieces.
some exciting, at least one company's doing well. So
Exactly.
hopefully everyone at Xbox will land on their feet, and let's not be pessimistic. Let's hope that those people are going to find jobs elsewhere within Xbox or within the industry, and they'll come back with something. Who knows? This handheld could surprise us. Maybe they're working on something and they need the money or resources freed up. Hopefully Phil Spencer's got something up his sleeve. Let's try and be hopeful.
Yeah, you never know. There might be a bigger plan, involved in this, and they could come back stronger. So yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed.
I mean, George hasn't been around for a couple of shows. I'm thinking, has he been called into the board to put out some ideas?
Wow. Yeah, I was
and
thinking
George has
that
got
myself.
some wild ideas. I mean, I don't want to get copyrighted for taking anything away from Nickelodeon, but I heard after a heavy night out, UC George came up with the idea of SpongeBob SquarePants.
And I think you might be right with the Xbox thing, because when I went to ring him the other day, I had to go for his PA, and that diverted me to Seattle. So,
okay,
I'll leave it there. So, is he involved? We don't know.
Or is he filming another series of Frasier? That was filmed in Seattle, wasn't it?
Watch this space.
Another rumour.
Right, we'll head over to our last story, which is a sad story. I've added it in here because I thought it was quite nice because it was linked to football, and the guy was a very, very keen gamer and a very, very good gamer. But for you, all you listeners out there who are football fans, you would have heard this week, as of recording, with the sad loss and passing of Diogo Jota of Liverpool and Portugal, which leads us over to this story on Push Square, which is titled, this is by Liam Croft, and it is titled PlayStation Fans Want Diogo Jota PSN Avatar to Return After the Footballer's Tragic Death. PlayStation fans are calling on Sony to make Diogo Jota PSN Avatar available once again so they can commemorate the Liverpool footballer following his and his brother's tragic deaths earlier this week. The avatar was available for free in the Days of Play 2024 campaign, but it was only a limited release and is no longer live on the PS Store. A thread on Reddit is asking for PSN Avatar to return for those who didn't redeem the digital bundle. If you did, then you can still use it, changing your avatar profile settings. It has been my avatar since I redeemed it, and now I'll never change it unless they remove it. Rest in peace, Diego, said Reddit user Messeline. Meanwhile, Sneakiest said, RIP, like another comment said, it would be nice if they gave the avatar away again, maybe different variants, since he had multiple celebration, such as holding a video game controller after scoring. Liverpool attacker Diogo Jota and his brother, Penafiel, a forward, Andre Silva, both tragically died earlier this week in a car crash. Memorials for Diogo Jota have been up and around Liverpool's ground, Anfield, as well as Molineux, the home of his former club, Wolverhampton Wanderers. The funeral for the two brothers takes place on Saturday morning. RIP Diogo Jota and Andre Silva. This is very sad news. I also added it in. They didn't cover this in the story, but Diego was a very, very good FIFA player, and actually had his own FIFA team.
I didn't know that.
Yes, yeah, he was a very, very good FIFA player.
A lot of the pros do play and have their own games. I know, I've seen like some of the ex-pros like Rooney and stuff involved in some of the teams, with some of the YouTubers and stuff. But for anyone who isn't, I was going to say, for anyone who isn't, a fan of football, I'm sure they would have heard anyway. And just to put it in context, that obviously as a young guy, and it's a terrible thing to happen anyway, to him and his brother. But I think he got married as well, didn't he, in the recent few weeks, which makes it even more, makes it even more real, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is, and I think this avatar would be a great thing, and I think they'll do it. I mean, that'd be a
Yeah, it's a lovely touch.
great
It
memory
really
for
is.
him, and great for people to have that as a little bit of support. Whether you're, don't matter what fan of any club you are, just to see this is very sad for such a great footballer. And also, I noticed that on the Liverpool FC thread, they had put Jota was an avid gamer and was ranked world number one in FIFA 21's Champions Leaderboard in February 2021. He had his own esports team known as Lunar Galaxy, formerly Diego Jota Esports, and he regularly streamed on Twitch during the lockdown during the COVID-19 pandemic. He took part in an invitational series of FIFA matches run by the Premier League, eventually beating future Liverpool teammate Trent Alexander-Arnold in the final of the competition. So I think this would be a lovely touch for him.
Yeah, I have actually heard of that Luna team. Actually,
Yeah.
it does ring a bell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
Luna
our
Games.
hearts go out to his family, and it's very sad times. And I think get his avatar up, let people use it, not just Liverpool fans, anyone, because not only was he a nice guy, a fantastic footballer, he was also an avid gamer and quite passionate about it. Hence, his goal celebrations where he'd sometimes hold a controller. So he was passionate about gaming too. So yeah, sad news, and R.I.P. Diego Jota.
Yeah, I also see, obviously, when something terrible like this happens, it goes beyond football. So obviously, Everton and Liverpool have a real strong rivalry where they hate each other. But I did see, I saw at least one Everton shirt guy went over and put some flowers there. So when something like this does happen, people do realise that it's more than just the football and the rivalry. People are people, and people have got families. And I think that's a great thing to add in the news there, RGT. And I think they will do that. It's nice because I wasn't aware that he was so heavily involved in the esports. I know he's really popular with the pros. So I think that would be nice little touch to sort of put a little legacy, something in place. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. So it's a lot I said before. R.I.P. Diego Jota and his brother there. So, right after that, I think we better get on to our very loyal listeners who subscribe to us every single week. These guys are, this makes this so much easier for us with their little bit of financial support, which keeps the lights on here, keeps us ticking along, keeps the shows coming out, keeps us recording. And we do different tariffs from $3 all the way up to $10. Don't worry if you don't. The show is free. It will always be free. But little things like this is, this makes a difference to us, what we can do when we do it. And it just, like I say, it keeps the lights on here at UCP Towers. And we like to reward them. And one of the ways we reward them is they get their names read out on the show each week. So I think I will hand over to you to start there, young Scott, with our very first name.
Yeah, so top of the list, first in is Cnox. So thank you very much to Cnox, and I hope you're having a good week, buddy.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Cnox over there in Sweden. Thanks for your support, as always. Next up, we have, and I have to say this, the One Man George fan club. It is the legendary Carlos, who has done us another short this week. So we haven't put up on YouTube yet. But
I might not
get
have seen
George,
that. Yeah,
I'll get George to get that up on the U-book, as they say, or FaceTube this week, so people can see that, because they're always quite popular, his little skits on there. So thanks again for that, Carlos.
Next up is Firm Returns, the man with the data analysis, company breakdown, all the fact sheets of what's going in, what's going out. He's your main man. So big shout out to Firm Returns, and I hope whatever game you're playing this week, I hope it tickles you in the right spot.
Yeah, they are Microsoft. That's who you need to get in. See you later, Phil. Get Firm Returns in. He'll balance the books. Don't you worry about that.
He'll sort that out.
Next up, we have Trestles of New York. Thank you, Trestles, as always, very long-term supporters of the show. So thank you very much.
Apparently the tastiest bagels in all of UCP.
Yeah, without a doubt.
You can taste it all the way from El Paso to Elon's Rocket. Apparently that's the cheese pool.
Really?
When you did a cheese pool, that's how high it goes. That is
no way.
Good for the arteries, I've heard. Next up, we've got Bada Bingster. You got to salute like this. Everybody stand up. Everybody sit down. So I do miss George just for that one saying.
Oh,
I miss him in general, but that's my favourite when he does these readouts.
bless him, yeah. Then we've got the fantastic Tingle Tuner. I noticed he's been jumping on trying to have a little old go on our challenge accepted this month, which is done by our next one, which is Digital Monkery. This month they're doing Balatro. So if you're a Balatro fan, get on our Discord because the challenge this month is your highest score you can get. And there's a very, very good prize for that. A very good themed prize for
Is it
the
exclusive
challenge.
you're dropping, or
Yeah, it
you're
is.
putting
So
a little
just-
fishing line out there?
I am, yeah. So if you're interested in if you like Balatro, if you're interested in have a little high score challenge, join the Discord and have a go because yeah, the prize that Digital Monkery has got this month is absolutely fantastic.
How do they join the Discord? Anyone that's new to the app, what do they do, RGT?
You can 9 times out of 10 we'll have it in the show notes. If we haven't, on your Discord, to search for Unofficial Controller Podcast, and then you can jump in on there. If you know anyone that is in the Discord, get them to send you an invite. Or anyway else, you can contact us on Instagram, like me or George, and we can send you invites. You can send us a email at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com. We can send you an invite that way. But yeah, if you want to join, either ask us on Instagram, whatever, or search us on Discord. Come find us, come and join it, and come join in the fun.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Discord is, it's basically an app. So just go to your app, whether it's Apple or whatever it is. I'm trying to think of the equivalent, but I can't think what it is. So it's just an app like WhatsApp, but it's more forum-based, a bit like a forum with sort of subheadings, and that is all it is. So yeah, just download it. Don't let it can be scary when you don't know what it is at one point.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to go into our next one. So you obviously touched on him, the man behind the challenge accepted. So Digital Monkery, he is the 16-bit hidden gem YouTube pickup maestro at the moment.
Yes.
He really is.
He certainly is. I mean, that guy has a collection and it is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, not only does he do all that for us, not only does he get all these wonderful prizes for us, not only does he do challenge accepted, he also has his own YouTube channel. I don't even know how he has time to work, but yeah, check out Digital Monkery on YouTube. Does pick up videos, bits and pieces, really, really good. Yeah, so next up we have the Gaming Graham. Thank you again, as always, another long time supporter.
And got a few big names coming up now. One of them is Bald Balder. So thank you to Bald Balder. I feel like it's almost a tongue twister. Bald Balder. If you say it slowly. If you say it too fast, Bald Balder, got to get the pronunciation right.
Yeah, that's right. You definitely have.
Bald Balder.
And thanks to Bald Border because he pointed me in the direction of the article covering about Diego Jota and his gaming credentials. So
thank you for that. Yeah,
thank you.
that.
Thanks for that, mate. Appreciate that. Next up, we have Gurn Brand.
Oh, he got the lightsaber out.
Yeah.
I flinched. I was like, oh my God, who's that in the room? I thought it was Darth Maul. I thought it was a double ender.
And that's our chief executive of the Discord itself, the policeman himself of the Discord. It is Bobaloba. Thank you, my man.
Straight from the precinct into the Discord. He's a man in charge, so don't play up. He'll kick you around. Next up, we've got a man who has collected more trophies than RGT has collected video games. This is Ginge.
He probably isn't far off. Yeah, over 700 platinums. The man is an absolute gaming genius. Every game he plays, platinum. But yeah. Thanks again, Ginge. Thank you very much. Next up, we have the Lord of Darkness himself. It is Harvey Retro, another one with a fantastic YouTube. Go and check him out.
Yeah.
Enigmatic Gaming and Enigmatic Productions. Check them out because they do some fantastic stuff from movies to games to anything. But yeah, very good.
And then next up, we've got the lovely Emma Sharp. So thank you to Emma, whatever you're up to this weekend. Hopefully the weather is better for you than it is for me right now. Thank you to Emma.
Well, Emma is... her and her husband are currently building a new games room themselves. So she's been asking for a bit of advice on HDMI selectors and bits and pieces, which I've been giving her, but it's coming along nicely. They got a very cool games room coming their way. So
nice.
Once she's got that finished, I'll get her to put some pictures up on Discord and she can show their collection that. But yes, looking very good. So nearly there, Emma. That won't be long. That'll be up and running. Next up, we have Greg, but for some reason I don't. Do you know where Greg is, Scott?
I think we got close to it. I think we said, I'm sure we said Frankfurt because that was like east
Because
of
I
Berlin.
mean,
We
I
just
was thinking you can get them little air tags. I think we need to try and get an air tag on him because at the moment all I know is that he's nowhere near Berlin.
I know he covers himself in butter and margarine, so it would just slide off.
And he wears that
He's not
tinfoil
gonna.
hat, so you
Yeah.
can't. So the signal gets blocked. Oh well. But
I'm
yes,
going to throw one more
thanks,
place
Greg.
in. What about Raffinau? And then there's Potsdam, because Potsdam is southwest, just outside of Berlin. And then there's another, a Bernau Bay, Berlin. Bernau Bay, Berlin. That's like a bit of a. And we were talking about football earlier. That's like the Bernabeu. I'm just trying to think of what play on words there is,
Yeah,
because he's got to be somewhere in there.
he's definitely somewhere in that region. I think we'll
And the
find out more for
shape,
next week.
the shape of Berlin on the map, right? When you zoom in on Germany, if you squint your eyes after a few beers, it looks a bit like a controller for a console. So
Oh,
I'm just wondering if he's sending us on a wild goose chase. But anyway,
yeah.
we'll work it out. But thank you to you, buddy, and I hope you've had a great week.
Who we got next then, Scott?
Next up, we have got the legendary, the sexy, the funny, the smart, the one with all the wisdom. It's Mumsy, our very own Mumsy.
I wouldn't have any of these consoles if it weren't for Mumsy buying them at Christmas and birthday. So thank you, Mumsy.
Thank you, Mumsy.
Next up, I get to read. Well, it's the greatest one in here, isn't it? It's the RGT fan club. Thank you guys. And as I always say, I can't read you all out because there's a coach load of you, so that'll take me all day. But
Excellent.
Thanks, guys.
And next up, we've got Pete Brocklehurst. Hope you're well, buddy. Hope you're good.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. And then we've got the legendary Billy Marmite. Thank you, Billy. As always, much appreciated.
And then last but not least, or second last, it's Simon Pryke. Thank you to Simon.
Thank you, Simon, as always. And no, it's left me with this again, isn't it? As I'm contractually obliged to do this next name in a sensual manner.
You say it like it's caught you off guard, like you're disappointed. Yeah, I've seen you apply Vaseline to your lips. Mm-hmm. You've rehydrated. You've took the steam off your glasses. Yep. You want to do this.
Yeah.
I saw you backstage. You was in the green room earlier in the studio, and you was doing your lunges, your breath exercises. Yeah. You were looking in the mirror, and you were just shouting out FAT, FAT. And I was like, what is he up to?
Well, the problem is sometimes I do such a big Zangief, I nearly pull a hernia. So I have to now warm up. At my age, you need to warm up before doing things like this because, it can cause injury. So...
Well, take a deep breath.
Oh, that Zangief. Oh.
RGT! I don't know. You'd think I wouldn't be surprised by now, but it was the way you went down... And then you looked up. As the breathing really threw me off there. That is a good microphone, I'll tell you.
I feel disgusted
I heard
and dirty.
Detail. Yeah, you should. Do you know what? After this recording, I think we should both have a shower and cool off.
Yeah, complete cold shower, I think, after this. But yeah, so that was our subs list. Thank you to all your guys, as always. You made all the difference, and we love you to bits. So thank you very, very much. I suppose we better get on to the last part of the show, then, Scott, which all I have to say to you is, what are you hoping to play?
Hello, young Jedi. That was very Star Wars Yoda.
That was a bit, wasn't it?
I'm definitely going to go for Stranded Deep because I'm right in the thick of it. I don't know how many hours I've done because, when I don't know if a Switch 2 is the same as a Switch, but it normally takes 10 days of playing a game to tell you how many hours you've done.
That's true.
So I don't know how many hours I've done, but I want to try and get to another island. It's a bit of a bittersweet because you're building up your resources or your materials, what you're doing, and then you go to another island and you're like, do you pick up resources and go back to yours, or do you try and rebuild again? I need to know what's the best thing. So I'm going to be doing a lot of watching as well as a lot of playing. GTA 4 I might leave for now. Mario Kart will still get a look in. And I think by the time we next have a chat next week, I've got a funny feeling I'm going to take a plunge on another eShop title or two in the sale. Maybe an FMV, because I've not played one of those for a while, and there's a few of those in my basket. And then I'll be playing the other game, which I keep blimmin' forgetting the name of, the other survival game as well.
Oh yeah,
The Long, is it The Long? It's got
the
a
long
picture of an
dark,
axe in it.
the long
The
dark.
Long Dark. Thank you, RDT. Your memory is fantastic. A bit like your games collection behind you. I've got to say, I'm really enjoying this backdrop of
Yeah, it's getting there. The game room
it's
is getting there.
PlayStation heavy. I can see PS1, PS2, PS3. I can see it all. And if you
This
want to
is
know what it looks like, head over to YouTube. Once the
yeah,
show audio goes up, the
yeah,
visuals will go up as well. So if
yeah.
you want to see what RGT looks like and know how I feel when he reads out that name at the
It's
end,
not good. It's not
Fat
good.
Zangate, it's not good, but one of us is wet. Put it that way. So anyway, that's me. But RGT, what do you hope to play?
Well, we're doing our RGT in the past, which is our Gen 7 playthrough of different games. We've done GTA 4, which we're talking about, and we have announced our next one, which is the Xbox 360 exclusive Forza Motorsport 2. So
Okay.
if you've loved that game, or you haven't played that game, or would like to play that game, because I mean this game is literally a £1, £52 game in CEX in the UK. It's probably a couple of bucks over there in the States. If you'd like to join us, like I say, jump on the Discord and look for that section RGT in the past, and we basically with GTA 4 we set markers where we played to, mission stops, had a little chat, carried on. I think with Forza we'll just jump in and everyone can start uploading pictures of their cars and what races they're on and what they're up to. And so yeah, Forza Motorsport 2 is our second
I have a
playthrough.
question on this RGT, if that's all right.
You certainly
Are
can.
you going to be playing with your controller, or are you going to be adventuring out to maybe a Ferrari 458 steering wheel with pedals?
I do in storage have the wheel and pedals.
Well,
for
I
it.
do as well. I was just
Yeah.
thinking, I've got the pedals and the steering wheel.
Mm.
I'm thinking, do we go full experience?
If I could dig out a storage, I will. I'll probably start with a controller, but if I can get to it easy enough, then yeah, maybe I will have a little dabble with the wheel, with the
Second
rim,
question.
a little play
Second
with the
question.
rim.
If we're dabbling with the rim,
Yeah.
behave, please. If we're
Okay.
dabbling with the rim, then what's stopping us? Shall we also slip into some boots, a racing suit, and maybe a helmet?
Yep. I think we should go full in on it, and then we can put
Put the
pictures.
fan on, couldn't
Yeah.
we? Create some wind resistance.
Yeah.
Mind you, you're probably playing this on a 14-inch CRT.
Yeah, and then I'll get Mrs. RGT to stand there with a bucket of water in case we're on a wet track and keep chucking it
Yeah.
over me if you're in an open top sports car. So you need to have that authenticity.
Do you know what I do when I'm playing? George does this in his management F1 game. When I'm playing a Formula One game in a modern console, to make it realistic, when I pick to change tyres, I demand that my wife comes in and changes my shoes, just so it feels like I've got something new
Brilliant.
beneath the. Yeah.
Does she have to do the noise?
Yeah. Well, that normally happens. That's the bunions just popping off. As she slips it on and off.
Brilliant. But yeah, so Forza Motorsport 2, gonna get onto that and crack onto that this week. I've had a little bit of a dally on, or wanting to have a little dally back onto EAFC 25.
I thought the same thing. Because I've been watching the old Wrexham documentary. I've been thinking, I know Southend are non-league. Their new kit came out yesterday. Looks beautiful. I'm thinking, are they in any of the games? I wouldn't mind playing a low-level career and trying to build someone up.
Well, as everyone know, in my career mode, I always start with League 2, work my way up the leagues, and I always invest in youth and try and get all these unknown players as superstars. And me and my mate, we play one night a week and have done for years. And on our EAFC, we took over Tranmere with one League 2. We're now in League 1. And these young players that we brought through our ranks are now like in their 70s and 80s rated, and they're worth 40, 50 million, these players. And it's been so much fun finding these brilliant unknown players to bring through. I thought, I might have to start my own career mode again. So yeah, I might dabble with that. I've still got so many sealed PS5 games I need to get stuck into. I've got Roadcraft I bought. I've got games from weeks ago I bought. I'm looking, there's a whole row of sealed ones. So I must get back onto the PS5 because I hardly use it. But also Singularity I need to get back onto on the PS3. Now the Precinct is done. Jump back onto there because I've been absolutely loving what I played of that. So, and now I've got a new PS3. I want to play it more. So, yeah.
That's great to hear.
So yeah, that's pretty much me. So I think we're about there. Are you all done, Scott?
I think we're done, buddy. Yeah, we're
I
wrapping
think
her
we're
up.
done. So, oh well, it leaves me to say there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. Thanks very much, Scott.
Peace out, homies.